SelfOS. Awareness is power.
There's a new Masters of the Universe movie out this weekend, and I want to use it as a doorway because the premise of it has been sitting with me since I watched it. And it's one of the cleanest pictures of what this whole show is about that I've come across in a long time. Here's the setup. A boy crashes to Earth as a child, and he gets separated from the one thing that connects him to who he actually is, his sword. The thing that links him to his real home, his real power, his real self. And he spends almost 2 decades down here not knowing what he is. Living a whole life as a regular guy, functional, getting by, with no idea that underneath all of it, there's something enormous he's been cut off from. And then he finds the sword again, and everything he already was comes roaring back. And here's the part that matters. The sword was never the power. The sword just reconnected him to the power that was already his the whole time. He doesn't become someone new when he picks it up. He doesn't earn a power he didn't have. He recovers access to something he was separated from as a child. The power was always his. He just lost the connection to it. And he lived as a smaller version, not because the bigger version wasn't real, but because he couldn't reach it. That's the episode. Because I think a lot of us are walking around as a smaller version. Separated early from the thing that connects us to who we actually are. Living functional. Getting by lives with no idea there's something underneath that we've been cut off from. And the work, the awareness, the practice, everything SelfOS has ever talked about, that's the sword. It's not the power. It's the thing that reconnects you to the power that was already yours.
What if the thing you're looking for isn't missing? What if it was never gone? Just buried under years of adaptation, years of armor, years of becoming who you needed to be to survive. There's a guide in reflection designed by SelfOS. It's called Pause Before You React. 6 questions, 1 clear response, a way to reconnect with the voice beneath the noise. The link is in the show notes. Bonus episode: The sword was never the power.
I want to tell you about the first time I really saw that the power was reachable. Not mine yet, but reachable. Real. Something a person could actually get their hands on instead of just a thing other people seem to have. I started listening to a man named Dandapani. He'd been a monk, spent years living that life, studying, practicing, going deep into the kind of work most people never get anywhere near. And he was given a speech, and at one point he ran an exercise on the whole room. He had everyone close their eyes. And he told them to think about the first wedding they ever attended, to go back to it, to feel what that felt like. And the room shifted. You could sense it, the energy of that memory rising up in everybody. And then, just like that, he told them to think about the first death in their life, the first time they lost someone, and to feel what that felt like. And the room shifted again, completely. From the wedding to the funeral in a matter of seconds. Same people, same room, same closed eyes. And he had moved the entire emotional state of a crowd just by directing where their minds went. And the point he was making was this. He wasn't suppressing emotion. He wasn't pretending. He was demonstrating that you can govern your emotional state by moving your energy from one part of the mind to another. That what you feel is downstream of where you place your attention. And that placement is something a person can actually control. That was the first time I saw the sword. Not in my hand yet, but I saw it. He moved a whole room from a wedding to a funeral and back on command and showed that the controls were real and a human being could actually reach them. And here's what's important about the moment. It didn't give me the power. It showed me the power was there. There's a difference. And the difference is the whole episode. Seeing that emotion could be governed. Seeing that what I feel is downstream of where I put my attention. Didn't mean I could do it. I had years of work ahead of me before I could direct my own state the way he directed that room. But something shifted permanently. Because I stopped believing emotion was just weather that happened to me. And I started believing there was a version of me that could stand at the controls. I just had to recover the connection to it. So let me talk about the separation. Because before you can understand recovering the power, you have to understand how you got cut off from it in the first place. Nobody is born separated. Watch a small child. They feel everything fully and then it passes through them and they're on to the next thing. They're connected to their whole emotional range without being drowned by it. They haven't learned to suppress, to perform, to armor up, to file everything fast so it can't hurt them. They're whole. They have the sword. They don't even know it's a sword because they've never been without it. And then life happens, and the separation begins. Not all at once, gradually. You learn that certain feelings aren't safe to show. You learn that certain parts of you don't get a good response. You learn to manage, to perform, to armor, to cut yourself off from the parts that got punished or ignored or shamed. And every one of those adaptations made sense at the time. Every one of them was protective, but each one cut you a little further from the thing you were born connected to, until eventually you're walking around as a smaller version, the functional version, the getting by version, completely cut off from the power you had as a child and not even remembering it was ever yours. You didn't lose the power, you got separated from it, and separation, unlike loss, can be reversed. That distinction is everything. If you lost the power, you'd have to go find some way to acquire it, earn it, build it, get it from somewhere outside yourself. But that's not what happened. The power is still in you. It's been in you the whole time. Dormant, maybe. Buried under 20 or 30 or 40 years of adaptation and armor and mislabeled files. But not gone. Never gone. Just unreachable. Disconnected. Waiting for the sword. And the cruel joke that the self-improvement world plays on people is convincing them they have to become someone they're not. That they have to acquire some power they lack. So people spend their whole lives chasing the next program, the next identity, the next version of themselves to build from scratch, when the actual work was never acquisition. It was reconnection. You're not building a powerful person. You're recovering access to the one that was there before the separation.
There was a version of you before the separation. Before you learned to armor. Before you learned which parts of you weren't safe to show. Before the world taught you to cut yourself off from your own range. That version was whole. Connected. Powerful in a way you can barely remember now. That version didn't die. It got buried. Disconnected. Cut off by every adaptation you made to survive. But it's still in there. Underneath the armor. Underneath the performance. Underneath the smaller version you've been living as. sword is not the power. Hear that? The practice, the awareness, the work. None of it is the power. The power was always yours. The work is just the thing that reconnects you to it. The sword in the stone was never magic. It was a key, a way back to what was already true about the one who could reach it. You don't have to become powerful. You were powerful before they separated you from it. You have to recover the connection. You have to pick up the sword and feel the thing that was always yours. Come roaring back online. So reach for it, not for a power outside you, for the connection to the one inside you, the version before the armor, the version that felt everything fully and was never drowned by it, the version that stood at the controls instead of being weather. That version is reachable. Right now. It has been the whole time. By the power that was always yours. Not given, not earned, recovered. The sword was never the power. You were.
Still here? Good. Let me talk about what picking up the sword actually looks like. Because the metaphor is beautiful, but a metaphor doesn't change your Monday. So let me get practical about what reconnection is in real life. It starts the way it started for me. Seeing that the power is reachable. That's the first thing. You have to see somebody or experience some moment that proves the thing you thought was just weather is actually governable. For me, it was watching a former monk demonstrate control over emotion. For you, it might be something else entirely. But you need the moment where you stop believing you're at the mercy of your internal state and start believing there's a version of you that can stand at the controls. That belief is the first reconnection. Because as long as you believe the power isn't reachable, as long as you believe you're just a smaller version and that's all there is, you won't reach for the sword. I mean, why would you reach for something you don't believe exists? The seeing has to come first. The proof that it's real. You cannot recover a power you don't believe you have. The first reconnection is believing the sword is real. Then comes the actual work. And here's where I have to be honest the way I always try to be on this show. Seeing the sword is not holding the sword. Watching that man govern his emotions did not make me able to govern mine. There were years between seeing it and being able to do anything like it. Because reconnection is not a moment, it's a practice. It's a slow, repetitive, often invisible work of reaching for the connection over and over until the connection holds. Every time you catch the pattern before it runs, that's reaching for the sword. Every time you feel the emotion fully without being drowned by it, that's the connection holding for a second longer than it did the last time. Every time you stand at the controls instead of being the weather, that's the power coming a little more back online. Not all at once, not permanently, but more reachable each time you reach. And here's what I found about the reconnection. It doesn't feel like acquiring something new. It feels like remembering something old. There's a specific quality to it, a sense of, oh, there it is. That was always here. When I govern my emotional state now, in the moments I'm able to, it doesn't feel like I'm doing something foreign. It feels like I'm doing something I was always supposed to be able to do. Like I'm operating the way I was built to operate before the separation taught me I couldn't. Reconnection doesn't feel like becoming someone new. It feels like coming home to someone you already were. The chase is always trying to make you into someone you're not yet. The recovery is reconnecting you to someone you already are. And the recovery is quieter, truer, and infinitely more durable than the chase. Because you can't lose what you are. You can only get separated from it. And separation can always be reversed. So pick up the sword, not to become powerful, to reconnect to the power that's been yours since before you can remember. The version of you before the armor is still in there. And every time you reach for the connection, you get a little closer to the one who was never weather. The one who always stood at the controls. The one the separation made you forget you were.
SelfOS.
Understanding your pattern in your mind is only half the battle. Real change requires changing your environment. If you're ready to bring intentional regulation into your daily life, the official store is live. Go to installselfos.com/store. There, you will find real-world tools and resources engineered to ground your nervous system and disrupt the autopilot. Somatic anchors like premium weighted blankets and physical Pomodoro timers, alongside books and guides available in both print and digital formats depending on how you choose to study. Everything you need to transition from theoretical awareness to daily, deliberate practice. Bring the code into the physical world. Go to installselfos.com/store. Explore the ecosystem and take full ownership of your operating system today. Installselfos.com/store.
Installing. Self. OS.
Here's where I want to land this. In the story, when he finally raises the sword and says the words, the power doesn't come from the sky. It doesn't come from the sword. It comes from him. The sword is the conduit. The words are the remembering. But the power was always his. He was the most powerful version of himself the entire time he was living as a smaller one. He just couldn't reach it. And the moment he reconnects, nothing is added to him. Something is restored. You are walking around now, right now, as a version of yourself that is smaller than what you actually are. Not because the bigger version isn't real, because you got separated from it. Early, gradually, through every adaptation you made to survive a world that taught you certain parts of you weren't safe. And you've been living as the functional version, the getting by version, the armored version, with no idea that underneath all of it, there's something enormous you've been cut off from. The power was never out there. It was never something you had to go get. It was in you before the separation, and it's in you right now, dormant, under the armor, waiting for you to reach for it. And the sword, the awareness, the practice, the observer, everything this show has ever talked about, it was never the power either. It's the conduit, the thing that reconnects you to what was already yours. I spent a long time thinking the work was going to make me into someone powerful. It didn't. It reconnected me to the someone I was before I got cut off. That's a completely different thing. And it's the truest thing I know. So this weekend, when you see the kid who crashed to earth raise the sword and become what he already was, I want you to see yourself in it. Not as a fantasy, as a fact. You crashed to earth too, in your own way. You got separated from your power too. And the sword is reachable. The connection can be recovered. The version of you before the armor is still in there waiting. You don't have to become him. You have to remember you already are him. And then reach for the connection over and over until the power that was always yours comes roaring back online. The sword was never the power. You were. You always were. Now go reach for it.
The loop doesn't stop just because you want it to. The same reaction, the same thought, the same automated response, running over the same neural track. You aren't broken. You're just running old code. Break the pattern. How to interrupt automatic thought and reaction. A practical framework written by Tom Lawhorn Jr. It's not about willpower. It's about awareness. Understanding the behavioral loop before the grip tightens. Available now on Amazon. The manual for your system is finally here. Break the pattern. This was a production of SelfOS. Awareness is power.